Hey everybody, how's it going? This is a long-awaited video that I've been meaning to do for a while now, and for reasons I haven't been able to do that, so now I'm going to actually do it. This video is going to be for the EMGX P for the bass, PX for the P bass. Basically, it'll fit into anything that has a P style cavity, so it could be a P bass, it could be a P and J, but you'd have to also buy the J set. Anything that has, if your bass has a P style configuration, chances are this is probably going to work for it. Then we're going to look at what I think of the pickups, how I review them, what they sound like, and then compare and contrast between active and passive pickups to see what the difference really can be and if one or either is right for you. I have another video up where I actually modified this bass. This bass didn't always look the way that it did. It was a little bit different. It wasn't completely different, but I've changed a lot on it. So if you guys haven't seen that video, if you guys were interested in that video, check that one out. But in the segue for this video, I'm actually going to be focusing on the pickups themselves and active pickups in general. First, a few things about passive pickups. Passive pickups obviously were the first pickups ever on any guitar or bass. The only control that you could have with a passive pickup, and to this day really is known as a cut and boost. And just one of those two things. You can either lower the volume or you can higher the volume for the entire pickup. So you don't have much tone control. You can turn the tone knob up and down if you have that option, and you can turn the volume up and down if you have that option. Obviously, you should. Other than that, passive pickups stay in one area and they don't give you much room to move around sound-wise. But there are a lot of appeals for passive pickups because they don't take batteries, they're simple to install, they're universal, they're interchangeable. If you have passive pickups for all of your guitars, you can get passive pickups from any company and you can do it yourself. You can solder or resolder them. Active systems are a little bit more complex when it comes to a pickup system in general, so they're simpler. And usually in bass, passive pickups have a natural punchy and fat tone, which a lot of people really like. It's a standard in the clean bass tone. Some people actually sculpt their amps, or they'll sculpt inside of the studio to get the sound that this will give you. Sometimes that extra presence or that extra bounce, that the thud of the pickup that you get from having a natural sounding passive pickup is desirable. So naturally they're a lot fatter, but that's natural fatness. So again, you don't have control over how fat it sounds, again, depending on what pickup you buy. But in a passive pickup, you really are left to what the simplest form of a pickup is. Now for active pickups, I've talked about it a lot before. I've actually gotten pretty in-depth on it in a video for a beginner bass series that I did, so check that video out for the active part of the series. You can just go in the menu and it'll show you where the active is. But the whole idea of an active pickup is to just be better than a passive pickup, or to give you the options that a passive pickup can't give you. And that obviously comes with sacrificing things that passive pickups have that that actives just can't have. That some actives now, including the ones that I'm going to show you, are trying to beat. But active pickups have a built-in preamp that is powered by either 1 or 2 9-volt batteries. This preamp allows you to have more tone control, meaning in the bass guitar you'll have the active pickup and you'll have, I only have just 2 knobs on here with this active, but you can have an entire set of an active system where you have bass, middle, treble controls, everything where you can blend the pickups and things like that. All that kind of stuff comes with having an active system, having a built-in preamp, whether or not it's in the pickup or if it's in the active system. So the active pickup gives it more headroom, and so you get a brighter and cleaner tone. So you get a brighter and cleaner and a louder tone compared to a passive pickup. Basically everything that a passive pickup lacks, the active pickup tries to actually gain on, is the best way that I can explain that. EMG-X is a new brand by EMG. EMG has been an active pickup company for a very long time. They've also made passive pickups for a very long time, and they're very, very famous. Recently, and not too recent, but recently they came out with a series called the X series, which is EMG-X, and all their pickups you'll see have the letter X at the end of their logo, and that's how you know it's an EMG-X. It's also known as the answer to Seymour Duncan's Blackouts, that came out and swooped the market. People that religiously used EMG pickups, especially the 81, 85 or 8160 combo, they would immediately move straight to the Seymour Duncan Blackouts, and it was creating a heavy toll on EMG. So EMG obviously was going to come out with a modern series anyway, and this was something that you could say is comparable to Seymour Duncan's active line that EMG and Seymour Duncan are fighting out right now. But one thing that EMG actually claims that is different about these pickups compared to their last ones, because you can get EMG active pickups for P-Bass, or you can get EMG-X active pickups for P-Bass. The X's seem to take care of a problem, or they're supposed to take care of a problem that active pickups have had for a very long time, and that problem is sounding artificial. Active pickups are notorious for not having an organic tone, for not sounding like an actual guitar, for not sounding natural enough. So a lot of people actually move away from the active line because it's more for metal users. A lot of people would say it's more for people that are using a lot of effects and things like that, not for a natural tone, or not for something that you're going to be playing where people can hear every single note. EMG is claiming that they're going to keep their signature sound, the reason that people would move to EMG pickups in the first place, and also increase headroom so that you can get a more organic tone, so you can get a more natural tone, increasing and decreasing headroom inside of the built-in preamp, redesigning the pickups so that the actives that were before artificial sounding are now less artificial sounding. And again, you guys can be the judge for that, because obviously it's your choice if you're going to buy them or not, comparing something that's going to be the originals to what's now and seeing what the difference is. There is something I have to clear about the Seymour Duncan EMG market on bass guitar, especially when it comes to active pickups, actually when it comes to only active pickups. Seymour Duncan has the upper hand when it comes to passive pickups on bass guitar, because they make some of the coolest passive pickups on the bass guitar, and EMG really doesn't make that many passive pickups. They're not known for passive pickups for bass. So if you're thinking about getting passive pickups, I would definitely look at Seymour Duncan first and foremost, and probably only Seymour Duncan, because they make some really great pickups. But it stops there, because their active line for basses is almost non-existent. They have the Blackouts for bass, which are only soap bar style 4 and 5 strings. So you have to have a soap bar style bass guitar that's either a 4 or 5 string configuration to have an active bass sound from Seymour Duncan. They used to have P-Bass active pickups, but I can't seem to find them anymore. I could have sworn I saw them when I was a youngster, but I just can't seem to find them. So Seymour Duncan clearly lacks on active pickups for bass players. EMG is heaven for bass players. They have the biggest selection for active pickups in any brand for bass players. They'll have every single EMG style pickup and every single EMGX style pickup for almost every single bass that you have. They have the J style, P style, soap bars, passive pickups for each one of those. They're basically filled with all kinds of active material you need for your bass guitar. So if you're looking for active pickups for bass, I would look no further than EMG, period. Alright, well, what I think of these pickups, in short, I think that they're really clear and versatile, and I think that they're perfect for my P-Bass. I think that anyone that plays bass should at least experiment with active pickups, because bass players use more active pickups than guitarists, in my opinion. I've seen more bass players using active pickups, more basses coming with active systems and or pickups than any guitar has. Guitars normally have to be special ordered with those, or only high-end guitars have those. Basses, normally you can get medium range basses with even active systems on them. So if you're a bass player, I definitely recommend checking out active systems, because you want to be able to shape your tone as much as possible on stage. It's not about being loud, it's not about cutting through the most, but it's most about being able to get a distinctive sound to your liking on your instrument, because there's no different vibe of distortions that the guitars have that the bass can match up to. You don't have that bang. You can unconventionally have a bunch of distortions, but you'd be killing your bass tone. So having that shape shifting effect that you can have on your sound is a really good option to have when you have active system. I have a modern bass tone, meaning I can sound as metal and modern as I want. I can crank classic P bass tones on my amp, and these pickups handle all that sound, all the frequencies, just great. The installation was as good as the instructions can go. Active pickups like this, high-end pickups, normally their instructions are as good as they're going to get. So if you don't understand the instructions that these come with, chances are that you're not going to be able to understand most of the instructions that any pickups come with. So I would recommend sending them to professionals or somebody that knows how to do pickup installation to put them in. These are active pickups, so I do not recommend that you go in and just attempt in taking everything apart and putting it together, because it can really damage parts of your bass that you're not going to be able to replace. As for the battery, if this bass had come with these pickups, like if Fender had released a P-bass with these pickups, the battery would probably be in the back instead of a clip. Now obviously that's not the case here, so it's underneath the pick guard. I replaced the pick guard, and what I had to do actually was carve into the wood. I had to route and carve into the wood and file it down and take about a piece of the wood out from the internal part, and then I had to fit the battery in there. But it's as good as new after that because it's completely fine. To change the battery, you kind of have to just take off as many screws as you can around the area of where you've left your battery in the cavity, and just kind of lift that area up as much as you can, pull the battery out, do the whole switch. You don't actually have to take the entire pick guard out, nor do you have to take the strings off. Here are some sound tests that I did in various different recording situations, so you guys can get a really good hear of what these pickups do sound like and what they can do in different situations. I'm going to be using effects and things like that so you guys can get a parallel of what they can sound like. In my opinion, these sounds are a lot better than this bass had before. So as you heard, it makes a bit of a difference from a couple videos back where you first hear this, and it makes a pretty strong bit of a difference, so it actually is worth it. To me, it was completely worth the money and worth the installation, and if I buy any other basses, if I get any other Fender basses, or if I actually, all the other basses I have now, I'm thinking about moving to EMG-X's for those as well, because I really am satisfied with the way that it sounds. When looking into active and passive pickups, I recommend going into a store and just playing each one of them through amps. Just go through a combo amp or a stack amp and run a passive bass through it and run an active bass, and you'll kind of see the difference. And it's not the sound, it's more of the articulation. You can have a really awesome sound, or you can have a really awesome sound and then you can shift parts of it, and to each his own. So if you guys have any questions on the EMG-X pickups themselves, EMG versus Seymour Duncan active pickups, or active pickups in general for bass guitar, ask me and I will answer them to the best of my abilities. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time.